I was in a coffee shop reading the one ads when I saw Macy's Herald Square, the largest store in the world, has big opportunities for outgoing, fun-loving people of all shapes and sizes. Working as an elf in Macy's Santaland means being at least at the center of excitement. I brought the ad home, and my roommate Rusty and I were laughing about it, so he dared me to call an interview. So I did. The woman at Macy's asked, "Would you be interested in full-time elf or evening and weekend elf?" I said full-time elf. I'm a 33-year-old man applying for a job as an elf. I often see people out on the streets dressed as objects and handing out leaflets. I usually avoid leaflets, but it breaks my heart to see a grown man dressed as a taco, so if there's a costume involved, I tend to not only accept the leaflet, but to accept it graciously, saying, "Thank you so much," and thinking, "You poor son of a bitch." This afternoon on Lexington Avenue, I accepted a leaflet from a man dressed as a camcorder. Hot dogs, tacos, video cameras. These things make me sad because there's no place for them. No community. They don't fit in on the streets. I figured that at least as an elf I will have a place. I'll be in Santa's village with all the other elves. We'll live in a fluffy wonderland surrounded by candy canes and gingerbread shacks. It won't be quite as sad as being some big French fry out on the street corner. I have to admit that I had high hopes for moving to New York. In my imagination, I went straight from the Penn Station to the offices of One Life to Live. In my imagination, I went out for drinks with Corb Roberts and Victoria Buchanan, the show's biggest stars. We sat on a plush booth at a Tony cocktail lounge. And they lift their frosty glasses in my direction and say, "A toast to David Sedaris, the best writer this show ever had." I'd say, "You guys, cut it out." People at surrounding tables would stare at us, whispering, Isn't that? I might be distracted by their enthusiasm, and Victoria Buchanan would lay her hand over mine and tell me I'd better get used to being the center of attention. But instead, I'm applying for a job as an elf. Instead, someone will say, "What's that shoe size again?" and hand me a pair of 7.5 slippers, toes of which curl up to a point. Even worse is the very real possibility that I will not be hired, that I could not even find work as an elf. That's when you know you're a failure. This afternoon I sat in the 8th floor Santaland office and was told, "Congratulations, Mr. Sedaris, you're an elf." In order to become an elf, I filled out 10 pages worth of forms, took a multiple choice personality test, underwent 2 interviews, and submitted urine for a drug test. During the second interview, we were asked why we wanted to be elves, which, when you think about it, is a fairly tough question. I told the interviewers that I wanted to be an elf because it was the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard of. I figured that for once in my life, I'd be completely honest and see how far it got me. I failed the drug test. My urine had roaches and stems floating in it, but they still hired me. And honesty had nothing to do with it. They hired me because I'm short. Everyone they hired is short. I'm one of the taller elves. I spent the last several days sitting in the crowded, windowless Macy's classroom undergoing the first phases of elf training. We've been addressed by all sorts of instructors who begin their presentations by saying, "This looks like an outstanding group of elves." Several of the bosses have led us in motivational cheers, a concept which stuns me to the core. Following an 8-hour day of cash register training, we were treated to a video presentation by security staff, visited by interpreters for the deaf, and presented with the Elfin Guide, a 40-page booklet of rules and regulations. This afternoon's training concluded with a tour of Santaland. Santaland is beautiful. It really is. It's a wonderland with 10,000 twinkling lights and diversions. People enter and walk through a maze which affords views of mechanical dancing penguins, train sets, spinning bears, and really big candy canes. They walk through a quarter mile of maze and wind up at the magic tree, at which point they brace themselves for Santa. The tree is a tunnel designed to resemble a complex system of roots. The child is supposed to think, I can't believe I'm inside a tree. But instead, I think it looks like the large scientific model of a human intestinal tract. Once you pass the magic tree, the lights dim. It's dark beyond that tree. It's dark because Macy's does not want people to know that there are 6 houses. Macy's wants people to think that there is only one house and one Santa, and he lives at Macy's. They constantly refer to the movie Miracle on 34th Street, but even if someone believed in one Santa, why would they believe he lived in a department store? Nobody lives in a department store. The Santa houses are cozy and intimate, laden with toys. Each house is a hidden camera. This afternoon we learned the names of the various elf positions. You can be, for example, an Oh My God elf and stand at the corner near the escalator. People arrive, see the long line around the corner, and say, Oh my God. And your job is to tell them that it won't take more than an hour to see Santa. You can be an entrance elf, a water cooler elf, a bridge elf, train elf, maze elf, island elf, magic window elf, emergency exit elf, counter elf, magic tree elf, pointer elf, Santa elf, photo elf, usher elf, cash register elf, or exit elf. We were given a demonstration of various positions in action acted out by returning elves who were so on stage and goofy that it made me feel a little sick to my stomach. I don't know that I could look at anyone in the eye and exclaim, Oh my goodness, I think I see Santa. Or, can you close your eyes and make a very special Christmas wish? Everything these elves say seemed to have an exclamation point at the end of it. It hurts one's mouth to speak with such forced merriment. It embarrasses me to hear people talk this way. I prefer being frank with children. I'm more likely to say, You must be exhausted, or I know a lot of people who would kill for that little waistline of yours. I'm afraid I won't be able to provide the enthusiasm Santa is asking for. I think I'll be a low-key sort of elf. Today was elf dress rehearsal. The lockers and dressing rooms were on the 8th floor, directly behind Santaland. People have gotten used to know one another over the past 4 days of training, but once we took off our clothes and put on our costumes, everything changed. Ivy, the woman in charge of costuming, handed out the uniforms and gave us a lecture on keeping things clean. She held up a calendar and said, Ladies, you know what this is. Use it. I've scraped enough blood out from the crotches of elf nippers to last me the rest of my life. And don't tell me I don't wear underpants. I'm a dancer. You're not a dancer. If you were a real dancer, you wouldn't be here. You're an elf. You're going to wear panties like an elf. My costume is green. I wear green velvet knickers, a forest green velvet smock, and a perky little hat decorated with spangles. This is my work uniform. During dress rehearsal, I worked as a Santa elf for house number 2. A Santa elf greets children at the magic tree and leads them to the Santa's house. When you work as a Santa elf, you have to go by your elf name. My elf name is Crumpet. The other elves have names like Jingle and Frosty. They take the children by the hand and squeal with forced delight. They sing and prance and behave like cartoon characters come to life. It frightens me. Today was the official opening day of Santaland, and I worked as a magic window elf, and a Santa elf, and an usher elf. The magic window was located in the adult quick peep line. My job was to say, step on the magic star and look through the window and you can see Santa. was at the magic window for 10 minutes, 15 minutes, before a man approached me and said, "You look so stupid." I have to admit that he had a point, but I wanted to say, at least I get paid to look stupid, and he gives it away for free. But I can't say things like that because I'm supposed to be married. So instead, I said, thank you, as if I misunderstood and thought he said, "You look terrific, thank you." He was a brawny, wise guy wearing a vinyl jacket and carrying a bag from the Radio Shack. I should have said real loud, "Sorry, man, I don't date other guys." People would have turned and looked our way, and he would have curled in a little ball and died. All the Santas have different routines. Some want the children's names, so as you're leading the youngsters from the magic tree, you say, "What was your name again?" It's right on the tip of my mind where I can't get at it. And they say their name, and you say, "That's right, Van, you're Van. See, I didn't recognize you with that turtleneck. That's new, isn't it?" And it's always new because they grow so fast, but they're always needing new, larger clothes. They lead me to Santa's door and say, "Let me check. Just check with Santa, see if he's ready." Then you poke your head in and whisper, "Van." Then half the time you usher the child in and Santa will say, "Stan, it's so good to see you." It's hard when you can have 3 or 4 kids in a group. It's hard to keep the names straight. And some of the names are names I never heard of. Venetia, Montage, Great. A child named Great. I'm Great. That's a name which is bound to prove challenging once he gets old enough to start sleeping around. This afternoon I was photo Elfris, Santa Howard. Santa Howard uses names and sits the kids on his lap and asks if they've been good and what they want for Christmas. And then he asks what they plan to leave him on Christmas Eve. And they say cookies and milk, and he asks what kind of cookies, and they say chocolate chip or whatever. He demands the photo elf to say, "Chocolate chip? That's Santa's favorite kind of cookie." I don't mind saying it, but I must have said it 60 times today. This afternoon, Santa Howard got an Asian child who wasn't familiar with the idea of leaving cookies. Santa asked what she was going to leave him to eat, and she got a puzzled look on her face. He said, "Something round to eat?" And she said, "A potato?" 22,000 people came to see Santa today, and not all of them were well behaved. Today I witnessed fistfights, vomiting, and magnificent tantrums. Once a line gets long, we break it into 4 different lines because anyone in their right mind would leave if they knew it would take over 2 hours to see Santa. 2 hours? You could see a movie in 2 hours. Standing on a 2-hour line makes people worry that they're not living in the democratic nation. I was sent into the hallway to direct the second phase of the line. The hallway was packed with people, and all of them seemed to stop me with a question. "Which way to the down elevator? Which way to the elevator? The down escalator? The patio restaurant? Gift wrap? The woman's restroom? Trim a tree?" There was a line for Santa and a line for the women's bathroom, and one woman, after asking me 1,000 questions, already asked me, "Which is the line for the women's bathroom?" And I shouted that I thought it was the line with all the women in it. And she said, "I'm going to have you fired." I had 2 people say that to me today. "I'm going to have you fired." Go ahead. Be my guest. I'm wearing a green velvet costume, and it doesn't get worse than this. Who do these people think they are? I'm going to have you fired. And I'm going to leave her and say, "I'm going to have you killed."